Hello, 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 oh yeah. October 15th, I'm back because I'm enjoying this. I really am. Thank you, folks, for interacting with me. You folks who get when I delete a comment, it's because, to me, it strikes me as bullshit, and I don't have to listen to some crap, you know. My God, all I have to say is if you lived a day in my shoes, which you haven't, would be different. So when I delete it's because it's like, fuck that bullshit. You don't know what the hell you're talking about when it comes to me. And that's who I'm representing, period. What Dereck thinks and what Dereck is experiencing. And here in Nebraska, there are all these subtle reminders of it's a white man's world. And the way the radio goes, it's like mainstream radio in the Midwest. You don't hear black people except for Prince and Michael Jackson. And I'll say it again. It don't make sense to me that I hear that goddamn song about the South in Omaha every day on the radio. I made a post about it not that long ago on Facebook, and someone who doesn't know me gave me a kickback. And then the funniest thing happened. I went to lunch with a friend the next day, and sure enough, it comes on. I pointed out to them, there it is, every day, And why do we have to always hear Billy Joel and the Eagles and Journey? It's not because they're top 10, I know that, but it's this subtle reminder of it's a white world I live in. I don't hear no black music. I don't hear Mexican music on the mainstream radio. I don't hear any music from India, and it's this big melting pot of people. All these people from India, all these people from all over the world living here, working, creating this economy, and we're stuck hearing the Eagles every fucking day in Omaha. I don't know where it is like it is for you. To me, that's a subtle white privilege thing going on, and I don't expect you to understand it if you're not black or a person of color, because I deal with it all the time. I actually work with, let me speak, people. I actually work with white musicians who still don't understand what I'm talking about and are blind to their white privilege, or maybe they like it so much it's like, what are you talking about? I don't have no advantage. Yeah, you do. And those songs are reminders. I don't care about the rest of what the song says. Okay? This is about the racism, right? Get a clue. It's about my life. I also appreciate it when I hear from folks who will chime in and help me when people misunderstand or only understand what I'm saying through their filter. Because I'm not saying something stupid or something short-sighted. And I get these responses where people think I'm saying something stupid. It's like, I'm not saying something dumb like that. And I have a right to say it like this because it's annoying. I'm not some dumbass. Okay. You still with me? Because I'm not running a popularity contest, obviously. I'm just over here in my house, hanging out with you. One more thing before I do a poll, because the polls are fun. I'm learning about my own record collection all over again doing this. I got a letter yesterday from someone who claims they're interested in buying this. I quoted them a price, and they said they're still interested, but I'm doing it through PayPal. I'm not giving out bank information. That doesn't sound right to me. I've been using PayPal for years now with no problems. If you really want to buy this from me, I gave you my PayPal information. That's the way I'll go. None of this sending out my bank details. That don't sound right. Don't be offended. Just understand. It's like I have never dealt with that before. I use PayPal. You want to buy it? I'm happy to keep it. Okay, let me just say that. I love these. I'm happy to keep this. And yesterday, I in my returns or to trade or get rid of pile, I found a cover that is like, oh, I'll sacrifice this. This record is nothing, and it's like I won't be able to trade it. So I just discarded the record and I made another I made this yesterday. And I like when I make the collages because they kind of go along a trajectory. They'll start off, and then the more that I make them, the better they get. But I like this one. I always make sure that even if it's kind of on the rough side, that it's still working, that my eye can work with it, and my eye does work with that. Yeah, no playing of records yesterday because I got the keyboard out because I'm writing. I don't force my writing. I just let it come when it comes, and so I'm writing this month. Okay, so this area over here, there's, well, the whole area, but up here and here I haven't really gotten too much. So let me go back over here. Feels like I grabbed those already. Let me try this. I'll take a couple. And let's see what we got. Okay, this is great. So if you have been following me for years, you know that Rick Agnew is a friend of mine. Still, this is Christian Death. It's a reissue of Only Theater of Pain. This is a deep album. And when it first came out, honestly, it was a little too creepy for me, you know? This whole death obsession and darkness and Lucifer and all that shit, man, I got over that a while ago, you know? But Rick, as a musician, and he's a progger, he's a punk progger, when he stayed with me at my house here a few years ago for a couple days, man, did we have a great time. And it was really wonderful to listen to all kinds of music with him. And we really enjoyed listening to Yes and Sigur Rós together. But this is a reissue of this album. And you probably, if you know about Christian Death, you know this album. You know the whole saga of Roz Williams, the singer who blew himself away. This is a powerful album. Powerful. And Rick's guitar sound is defining on this album. Among most of the records he plays, his guitar sound is like immediately recognizable. I honestly think that Rick deserves much greater acclaim than he probably will ever get in his lifetime. Glad to know Rick. And if you happen to be watching Rick, love you. Hope your mom's doing well. The next thing I pulled is this record, Christ, Blue Shift Emissions. I had looked this up to try to understand more about it. Forget what I found out. It has a Boards of Canada feel. This is really good. Electronic instrumental. What label is this on? Verbicula Records? I gotta get my papers out, I can't see. This is something I took a chance on. Benbicula Records. And yeah, 2006. If you like Boards of Canada, you'll dig this. This is a good album. Christ. Blue Shift Emissions. Excuse me. Excuse me. The shelf underneath it. I'll take a couple. We'll just not be... I knew I was in my Dereck column area, and sure enough, here we have Dereck column, the return of the Dereck column. I remember seeing the sandpaper cover, the original sandpaper cover that were put together by members of Joy Division, and you know, for this. And when I first saw it, you know, of course it was horrifying to me because it was doing what the designer wanted it to do, which is to ruin all the other records next to it in your record collection. So that really turned me off. I knew about Dereck column and loved the music, but I couldn't see myself getting that record in that cover. Of course, now, as a collector's item, it would be great. But what I'm happy to say is that this is... Oh, I can't show it. You can't see it. It's red. It's a first pressing some of those early factory records were pressed on that type of vinyl or whatever it is that it looks black, but you hold it up at the light and it's red. It's a deep red. I love Vinnie Riley's music. I have a lot of his records, but not all of them. My friend Roger Simonson down in Lincoln, I think he has a pretty comprehensive Dereck column collection. But his guitar playing is immediately recognizable, and it's melancholic and beautiful. I'm also very, very touched that my guitar playing has been compared to him by many different people, unrelated at different times. That means a lot to me, because I don't sound like Vinnie Riley, but I try to emote when I play guitar, and that means a lot to me that I get compared to him. I have several more, but this is the one that came up because it's at the beginning of that. The next one I pulled is the before Dereck, which is Dungen. And since I showed the Elephant 9 with Ryan Fiske, someone told me that the guy is, Ryan Fiske is in Dungen, and it's like I had forgotten, because I have Dungen, love Dungen. Sat at se, I'm not sure how you say this. Primarily it's one person in the studio, I understand, and then when they play live, it's this band. This is a limited edition of this particular record. It's also numbered, and I love this music. This is, to me, a good example of modern melodic music that is, I guess you could call it progressive, or just that it's just beautiful. It's wonderful. That word progressive is almost meaningless, except it's, it's a touchstone for, when we use it, you kind of know what we're talking about. Great, wonderful music. I love Dungen. We've got a couple of the records, so I'd love to have more. Okay. Sip and slurp my coffee. Once again, when I'm speaking my mind here, I mean no offense. If you take offense, that's just too goddamn bad. Right here, because this is just a real well-known area of my collection, so I know a lot of what's back here, so let's just go ahead and go back further. I know what's here, but I'm going to pull it anyway. Right about here. This should be an interesting part. This is around my Peter Gabriel Genesis. See, I know. Yeah, it's my Peter Gabriel section. Peter Gabriel was an early hero of mine. Got turned on Genesis in high school, at the time when we're still looking for things, looking for identity. And there was something that I could identify with in the mystery of the music of Genesis and the way that Peter Gabriel presented it visually. And love his voice too, and a lot of his lyrics. Not all of them connect, but some do. So for a long time I was collecting Peter Gabriel and Genesis pretty heavily. So here I have a bootleg Peter Gabriel without Frontiers on the amazing Cornyphone label. This is a very poor audience recording. That's what you need to know. Here is a better bootleg, Book of Memories, where he was on television with Kate Bush doing the song Another Day. It's a Roy Harper song, but they do a beautiful rendition of it. That's on here along with some other, it says it's a compilation of rare live tracks and studio demos from 1977 to 87. The sound quality on this is variable, but mostly pretty good. It's a double album. And one more Peter Gabriel bootleg, State of Mind. Recorded in Largo, Maryland, 1986. Once again, this is a shitty sound, but again, like I said, I was collecting the man and the group deeply. So I have a few bootlegs, and I'm happy to have them. And I've seen Peter Gabriel 4 times solo. Did not get to see him in Genesis. I saw Genesis the first tour after he left with Bill Bruford on drums. I missed opportunities when Gabriel was in the band. It was still early in my awareness of them, and I don't think I had the resources to get to Kansas City. Man, I would have loved to have seen the original Genesis. But I've seen Peter Gabriel, and I've not met him, but I've had contact with him twice. On the first tour, when he went out and television opened, I saw him at the Uptown Theater in Kansas City, and he came out into the audience and walked across the tables. When I saw him, I was in the front section, and we were sitting at tables drinking and stuff. And he started on one side of the room and came all the way down, and sure enough, he ended up walking right on my table. So I reached up and touched his thigh, and he touched my hand. And, I swooned like a little girl. It was my hero, at the time still, It was an amazing show. I wasn't expecting to see Robert Fripp, and because of where I was sitting, I could see Robert Fripp sitting off stage. He was right in my eye line. So I'm just in heaven, and television opened for them, and I was a fan of television, and they were incredible. So that time, the next time I saw Peter Gabriel, he started walking through the audience with the band up onto the stage like a marching session. And I'm sitting on the aisle. So as he's walking past me, again, as far as I can see, at that time, I was the only black person in the audience. I mean, it's a huge audience. I don't remember seeing any black people anywhere near me. As he's walking by, his eyes locked with mine. I mean, I'm looking back at him, as they're coming, and his eyes locked with me, and did a head nod, and he nodded right back at me. So I love that stuff. Peter Gabriel, important artist for me. I'm going to go over here again. Kit Watkins, who was in the band Happy the Man. Yeah, I do love that vein of music, progressive or just melodic. This is him with the percussionist Coco, Roussel, Kit and Coco, In Time. I don't like this one nearly as much as either of these as the first one of his, which is sitting right over here, his first solo album. But this one also, Kit Watkins, Frames of Mind. And he was in Camel for a while. And then I was corresponding with him for a short time early on the something. So for some reason I wrote to him, and he wrote back. I still have the letter. It was just touched that someone reached out because of the music. Kit Watkins. Okay, so I know that's basically Zappa, but if I go over far enough, maybe I'll hit something non-Zappa. My collection, Zappa, is fairly big. Oh, this is a big chunk, and they're saying, we're stuck together. Okay, so this one is, and this happens, that they get old, and this one is damaged. So throw it away and find another one and recover it. This is from my compilations section, and here we have Brazilian Guitar Fuzz Bananas. Oh. Like I said, I make these when I'm just waking up. This is an excellent compilation of music from Brazil, rock and roll, psychedelic tracks. These are some really, and it's a really good, really well made compilation. Great graphics, double LP, isn't that cool? Comes with 3D glasses and a big fat ass booklet of information. Love these kind of booklets, and I love this one because it tells you about the records, but it shows them too. That's perfect for us geeks to see the original pressings, because they're so rare and hard to find. Brazilian Guitar Fuzz Bananas. Really cool. Children of the Generator. This is from Australia, New Zealand. Wireless Records. This is way cool. Now, I picked this up years ago because I like the band Headless Chickens, but it turns out that practically every track on this is really good. From dark post-punk to gnarly electronics. Still, at this point, the main... Graham Humphreys is another name on here that rings a bell. This is good. Children of the Generator. Here's one from the Uniton label. This is a label out of, I'm pretty sure Norway, because it's how I found out about Fra Lippo Lippi. And that guy, Rune, who started the label Rune Gramophone. Still getting into the crookapons. This is Burning the Midnight Sun. And Fra Lippo Lippi is on here. Holy Toy. Depress. Punk from, I think, Poland. Eyeless in Gaza. Tim Story and Popol Vuh are all have tracks on this album. This is a very, very cool compilation. I'm going to pop this open because I just love this label so much. Here's a Charisma sampler. I've got a couple. I'd like to have of all the Charisma samplers. Charisma Festival. Even before I heard anything on the label, when I saw the Alice in Wonderland figure, I was, you had me. You know, Alice in Wonderland is a favorite from my childhood. And even before I'd done psychedelics, the alternate reality of it just, you know, entranced me. So this is great. This is a great compilation. It gives you a great overview of the main artists on the label at the time. I think there's at least one track on here that is exclusive to it, or it's like a single edit. But I love that Brand X and Genesis are on here, along with a solo Steve Hackett, and Bo Hansen and Vandergraaf Generator, all on one album. And again, it's a German pressing. Magnifique, magnifique. And the last one I'll show from the comps is All Day Thumbsucker. This is a Blue Thumb label compilation. I always think of David Horowitz. Sequoia Flame, he's back in action making videos. Hey, David. Great guy. And this is interesting. I'll put it like that because it's kind of bluesy, you know. You know where I'm at with the blues. I'll do one more before I go because time goes so quick, you know. I'll do one more, from right about in here. Right about here. Kind of feeling for something, actually. Let me see if I hit it. Yeah, I did. I know my collection. Neu. So, when the renaissance of interest in 70s German rock music, I won't use the K word because that does insult some people, and I don't want to insult anyone purposely. I was all over this. I got turned on to this since high school when it was happening by my friends who had moved back to America from France. And they had these records, and they had Neu's first album, the English version with the pink cover. They gave it to me, but I got rid of it like a dumbass. This is a reissue of Neu 2 on white vinyl, which I finally got. I didn't get it when it first was issued. When I grabbed these, I didn't grab the original, but I have an original. And here's Neu and Brain. This is an early pressing of this album. It's on the Brain. It's on that Brain label. It's not a green Brain, but I guess I can admit that there got a point when I was buying, listening, and moving through changes musically that I kind of got tired of this music. Maybe that's why I sold it. I'm not sure, but I had that English original, which is very collectible now. I had one. I did. Noi. This is what I'll show you all today. I love hearing from you folks. Let me say it again. When I speak honestly about my feelings, my thoughts, my life, I'm just telling you about me. I don't mean to insult anyone. And so that's why I take complete freedom at editing my comments. I don't have to listen to stuff that doesn't feel right to me. And none of you folks have spent a moment in my physical presence. So I know that some people, the way you talk to me, if we had met, you wouldn't say the things that you say because it's real obvious you don't understand me and you don't know me. And so I just don't have to take it. I don't. This is an act of love. It is, this is who I am, and I really enjoy sharing this with you all, okay? So, peace be with you. Peace be with you.